Citizens Forum. At the end of our business meeting, we have reserved time for our resident comments. We do have some signed up, it appears. If so, I'll ask that each speaker, if they've had the opportunity to read the comment protocol. I know George has, so.
He hasn't signed up tonight, though.
Oh, he hadn't signed up? Oh, I'm disappointed. It's located on the back of tonight's posted agenda. If you've not had a chance, please pick one up and look at it. For the ones that have signed up, when we call your name, when you're recognized, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes to give your comments. And I advise our board and our staff members to take notes for future reference or questions.
All right, our first speaker is John McCarthy at 603 Stonevilla Lane.
Good evening. I'm John McCarthy, 603 Stonevilla Lane. I'm the president of the Homeowners Association, the Farm at Willow Creek, and I represent 81 homeowners and residents there. Also, I'd like to add that I'm here to support when Steve Williams makes a comment when it's his turn to come up. This is in association with his proposals. Mainly what I'm looking at here is we live along Evans Road, and the noise, nightly noise along Evans Road, it's basically a drag strip, and a poorly lit drag strip at that. And this has been going on for a number of years, and really nothing has ever been done about it. So that's the noise faction, and I think it's also directly related to the speed of the cars going on that road. It's very dark at night, and it's noisy. Simple as that. We have 18 homes that are directly impacted that live right along that street. And my wife and I, we live probably a quarter mile up the hill from there, and we can hear it. It's just the way the topography is at the farm at Willow Creek that the noise from that comes up the hill. So it's a constant problem every night. The second issue that I have that I think is really critical to the city is the intersection of Evans Road and Virtue Road. If you're on Evans Road and you're going to make a left onto Virtue and even a right, but the left is unbelievably dangerous. There's a hill there on Virtue that you cannot see the cars coming. And everyone that I've talked to in our subdivision has been scared at one form or another, making a left onto Virtue. Just with the speeding cars coming over that hill, they can't see us or whoever's at Evans Road, and we can't see them. And I can't find my phases correctly. I think that was phase 2 of Virtue Road that went from the traffic circle down towards Vista, where you got the traffic circle, you got that curve that was straightened out a little bit. Well, straightening out that curve just enabled people to accelerate sooner and to be able to go faster. And no one that I have seen pays attention to the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit on Virtue Road. So it's quite dangerous. And to my knowledge, I know there's another section of Virtue that's coming, that phase 3, I believe. But I don't believe, at least to my knowledge, that any portion of these phases is going to impact that intersection. And that intersection is, to us, is the most important part. Somebody's going to die on that corner. Hasn't happened yet, but time it will. And we have a lot of new people in our subdivision with younger kids that are now coming up to 16 years old, 15 and 16, and we've recommended them to those kids to not even go down there. You know, we can get out going to McFee, but even with McFee, with all the building there along Boyd Station and that, with 300 plus homes that are going to be coming either direction, especially on Virtue Road, is just going to get worse. So really what we're asking is that something be done, anything. I mean, it's ideally, I think for us, that hill that's just before Evans, if that could be flattened out, so you could see. I also understand that would be the most expensive thing to do too. But I think, providing the visibility for the people sitting at the intersection on Evans to be able to see, and vice versa, it's really critical to the safety of anybody, especially the residents that use it a lot, that something be fixed. So beyond that, I mean, anything. A flashing yellow light that's like along Turkey Creek for Red Mill and that says cars at the intersection. Make it a three-way stop like Grigsby Chapel and Smith Road. Flashing light, I mean, we'll take anything in that. But we would appreciate your cooperation with that. I know anything that's done there is going to be a big budget item, but I don't know, is there a fourth phase of Virtue Road that will impact that? I don't know. So, thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, John. Probably ought to tone that down just a little bit.
I had a weapon.
If there is other subject matter on this, can we group those together? Is that possible, or do you know?
I do not know.
No,
Steve
no.
Williams has listed his as speed and noise, and the others are just the citizens forum.
Well, I guess.
We just have 4 more.
Well, can we have Steve then?
Sure. I have
Okay.
Steve Williams at 721 Virtue Road.
I brought a handout.
This won't affect your time.
Oh, thank you. Takes me a long time to do it. Representative Jason Zachary was kind enough to help me get this. This is an official signed.
Can you give us?
I'm sorry about that. Steve Williams, 721 Virtue Road. And what I wanted to talk about, speeding and noise, and I actually come not only with a complaint, but a solution. So what I think is if we got a complaint, we ought to at least come with a solution. And I think it's important, though, my family, my wife and I moved here in 1992. So we've been here about 31 years. We've raised our family. A lot of y'all know us. I've got my 4 children now with their families live in Farragut. I have 9 grandchildren that live in Farragut. So this is our home. And we moved here specifically. I grew up in Blount County out toward Townsend, Walland area. So we moved here to get out of the noise and the traffic. We wanted a country feel. We moved here for the good schools. But it's a convenient location, but you don't have the traffic and the noise. So that was one of our big factors. In the meantime, Farragut has grown and grown and grown and grown. It's about 24,800 as of last year. We represent about 5% of Knox County. So we're not huge, but we have a lot of people. But we have a speeding and noise problem, specifically on Virtue, on Evans, and Turkey Creek. And it's very dangerous, and it's impacting our quality of life. So what I wanted to do is bring up the problem and then talk about a few solutions and see if I can get some movement on the solutions. Virtue has a 30 mile per hour speed limit, and Turkey Creek's 35. It's very normal to see 50 to 60 mile per hour driving. I mean, that's not even questionable. I don't think anybody would argue about that. The noise level over the last 3 to 4 years has grown exponentially. Now, Representative Zachary and the state legislature have passed a noise ordinance for the state of Tennessee. It is now illegal to drive a vehicle, except for a motorcycle, any vehicle on the road, truck, car, anything, that, and I handed that out, has a decibel reading of 95 decibels or more. It's punishable by a $50 fine and or 30 days in jail. So they put some meat into this. So in the past, when I brought this up and talked about it, we didn't have anything to work with. So the state legislature has given us a real tool here. The speeding and the noise is under our control right now. All we have to do is act. It's like anything in business, you inspect what you expect. The problem we have in the town of Farragut, we don't have any way to enforce anything. I've talked to the police department, I've talked to the officers, I've talked to the sheriff, I've talked to everybody. I get the same problem. No officers, not enough police officers, can't do anything, can't help you, sorry, but they keep cashing the checks downtown. And I can remember Eddie Ford years ago saying, the folks downtown are the reason we started the town of Farragut. I think it's time the town of Farragut stand up, take charge of this, and fix it. It's a fixable solution. All we have to do is take what we need to do. The towns, I've watched in all these meetings over all these years, anytime there's a problem in the town of Farragut, you all get involved and you fix it. This is a problem. It needs to be fixed. We can't rely on Knox County. We need them to give our share of the money for police enforcement. If I could get them to give me 5%, we're 5% of the population. We need 5% of the budget that the sheriff uses for what's called patrol and cops universal. That line item increased 15% in the last, from 2021 to this year. If we just got 5% of that budget, the town of Farragut would get $3.9 million. We would also get $96,000 for administration if we got 5% of the administrative budget. So to me, that's the first thing we need to do, and I'm out of time already. We need to also hire, to stop this immediately, this speeding and noise. We can hire officers, subcontract officers who are sworn officers for $40 an hour. That's the first thing we need to do. We need to take charge of our roads all over the town. I'm not talking about just us, because we want ours fixed as well. But we've got speeding all over the town. We need to take $40 an hour, take some money, and fix this. And it's real easy to do. You inspect what you expect. We as a town need to begin to inspect our roads for noise and speeding and take action. Any questions?
We've got notes.
Our next speaker is Karen Smydra.
Good evening. I'm George Ellis tonight. I'm taking his
What's your name, really?
Karen Smydra, and I'm at 55.
Much more attractive, sorry.
Just speak in the accent, though.
And I'm at 559 Barnsley. I come here tonight with my friends and neighbors from Cottages at Price Farms, Brass Lantern, McFee Manor, Bridgemore, and the neighbors alongside McFee. First and foremost, we want to thank you guys for bringing peace and quiet to McFee Park, as well as approval of a new crosswalk for the around Evans Road in McFee. Your actions really demonstrate your desire to work with the citizens, and we're very grateful, so thank you. Tonight, we hope to collaborate in that same vein. I have with me a petition signed by almost 200 residents in the mentioned area, respectively requesting that the board take action to promote and assure safety and prevention of risk on McFee for not only the residents, but pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers as well. Some of the things have already been brought up, but there are about 1.5 miles of sidewalk on both sides of McFee, and that's separated by 2 to 3 feet towards the road. And as we're hearing this consistent story tonight, the cars consistently and constantly go higher than the 2 posted signs of 30 miles per hour. And not only that, as we heard, there is drag racing down McFee Road. So using those 2 crosswalks for the able-bodied citizens becomes a game of Frogger to get across for some of us. And for my friends and neighbors who have compromised ability, they just stay home. They don't even try to get across. So there are 3 other subdivisions, as we've talked about, that is going to add about 300 homes that will contribute to this issue. So we respectively request implementation of steps for improving traffic safety, reducing vehicle speed, and reducing vehicle noise on this road. And we are committed to being part of the solution and working with you guys in any way you deem appropriate to make McFee safe for everybody. And we look to you guys to lead the efforts. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Our next speaker is Kristen Rose, 229 McFee.
Hi, I'm Kristen Rose. I live at 229 McFee Road. I am here in the same vein as many others that have spoken this evening. I want to thank you for your time, first and foremost. I just want to say that I love living in Farragut. I'm not originally from Tennessee, but it's been my home for 8 years. It's where I've started my family. I have 2 small children, a 4-year-old girl and a 6-year-old boy. We're active at First Baptist Concord, and both of my children attend Concord Christian School. I spend 95% of my time in Farragut. That other 5% hopefully is at the beach or at the mountains or at Dollywood doing something fun. I'm here to talk about McFee Road and the unsafe conditions of speeding and reckless driving that we've already heard a lot about tonight. In addition to my children, my neighbors have 3 young children. The folks across the street have 4 young grandchildren that are playing in their yard all the time, and the folks next to them also have 2 young children. When I say young, I mean under the age of 8 years old. It is a family road. It may not be a neighborhood, but McFee Road is home to many people with small children and families. I would like to allow my children to check the mail or to walk to the greenway and the stream without the fear of a speeding driver going 30 miles over the limit, plowing them over. I would like to enjoy the beauty of our neighborhood and of Farragut that you all have invested so much time in. I would like to be able to walk to the park. I would like to allow my children to grow up in a neighborhood where they feel safe, where they're able to enjoy it, just like I did as a young girl, without my parents looking over my shoulder or without the worry that they're going to get run over. I would like for the board of the mayor and the aldermen to consider putting in speed humps on McFee Road or implement other safety measures to make the community more safe for our children. That is all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Stacy Dagenhart.
Hi, I'm Stacy Dagenhart. I live at 229 McFee Road. Pretty much everybody knows me from next door neighbor and all that because I'm pretty vocal. But McFee is out of control with the speeding and the noise between the cars, the crotch rockets, you name it. It is ridiculous. I've lived on McFee Road since 1976. My parents bought that house originally, and now it's mine. And it's ridiculous. And I have talked to KCSO, and he has told me that, Tom Spangler, he has told me that allocation for police officers out here, especially in West Knoxville, is very limited. There's usually allocated about 5 a day that are allowed out in deep West Knoxville, and that includes Cedar Bluff, everywhere, trying to spread them out. And so speed, having them sit out there for a couple of days, they'll hit it, they'll get it, and they'll be gone in 3 days, and the drag strip starts again. And this goes all night long, and it really is ridiculous. I'm in agreement with everybody else about speed control. Police officers are only going to be a quick fix. A better use for it would be to put speed bumps in. The traffic circles don't work because they drift into the curve and gun it and go out. And it is extremely out of control, and it's getting worse by the day. Probably the cheaper way to do it is to do speed bumps because you don't have to dig anything out, get somebody out there to put the asphalt up there, raise it up. And after these parents who have paid for these expensive cars for a lot of these kids, and I know who some of their parents are, with a couple of busted chassis, they're going to put the brakes on their kids. It's going to kill somebody. And it's, like I said, it's just getting worse, and something really and truly needs to be done about it, because we don't want a police force with the town of Farragut, because when you sit there and we create our own police force, then you've got taxes like crazy. We've got a good tax rate. We don't want it to go through the roof. We've got enough traffic problems when you come into Farragut, but you don't hear the noise like you do on McFee and Old Stage Road. It is a literal drag strip. So I'm asking that, if there's any way that you all can work out a way to get someone that is willing to put in speed bumps on the road. City of Knoxville has them everywhere in a lot of the neighborhoods. Go measure, keep it where there's no chance of them being able to just go like around the traffic circle and then gun it the rest of the way down McFee. And that's where it is at about the outskirts of Bridgemore, all the way to the end of McFee Road. They come out of that traffic circle and they fly. And seriously, somebody's going to get killed, and I hope someday, sooner rather than later, you guys work out a way to fix this problem, because I don't think getting cops out there every so often is going to solve the problem. It will while they're sitting there, but once they're gone, there's no permanent ramification and a permanent fix to the whole problem. That's it.
Thank you.
Our last speaker is Stephen Williams, 12317 Butternut.
Hey everybody, I'm Stephen Williams, 12317 Butternut Circle. I'm a resident of Sugarwood as of January of 2022, and I'm happy to speak to you today. I am Steve Williams' oldest son, and I'm also reiterating many of the sentiments expressed today about the speed on Virtue Road and McFee Road. My wife and I moved back here. I grew up in Farragut, and I just want to say many of the improvements that y'all have made within Farragut are wonderful. When I was growing up, we did not have McFee Park. It is amazing. We take our kids there. My wife takes the kids there, once or twice a week. So we're very thankful for a lot of the work and forethought that have gone into making Farragut what it is. And it's why when we moved back from out of state, we were very excited to find a house in Sugarwood. It was very tough, but we pulled it off. I wrote letters to everyone in Sugarwood, and they all thought I was crazy. But it eventually paid off, so I'm very thankful to be here. But I do want to reiterate, one of the things that does concern me that everyone else is talking about is the speeds are excessive, to the point that we take our 3 kids on a walk. When the weather's good, we probably do it 3 to 5 times a week, and we go on Virtue Road, and the space between Virtue Road and the sidewalk is, in some spaces, 2 feet, and other spaces maybe 3 or 4 feet. But it is regularly, almost every night, there are multiple people going, high 50s, low 60, maybe 60 miles an hour, and many of them young kids. And I was once a young kid too that just got keys to a car or a truck, and my prefrontal cortex was not fully developed either, and they are just hauling tail down there, and it just makes me very nervous that I don't doubt, I wouldn't be shocked if something bad did happen at some point. And I just want to express my concerns about that. And I do think the idea for, these huge speed humps, I think that's brilliant. I think it's a natural kind of like, hey, you got no other choice, but you got to go 30 miles an hour or you're going to tear your car up. I think that's great. It's very practical. But I just think something needs to be considered. Something needs to be done. And I would just urge us all in a spirit of collaboration to try and come up with a solution. And I'm very thankful for y'all listening to my thoughts. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our speakers.
That concludes our speakers, okay. And
Can I ask a few questions of Karen? Just real quick.
yeah, sure.
Karen, you said you had a
Please come up again, okay.
a petition.
Yes,
Can you?
I would love to give it to you.
Yes, please. Also, you guys have a It sounds like from one of the emails I received from George that you have a traffic team put together.
We do, one or two representatives from each of those
Okay.
places and that's also on there.
That's what they're, okay. Those are the ones I had. Okay. I think the first, that's, I would like to talk with Daryl first, and then assemble you guys and have a conversation about what we can and can't do, or what are the possibilities. You guys live there. We really do need to kind of look at it with from your perspective. And of course, Alderman Burnett lives there. You guys have the insight as to what you're seeing and where you're seeing it. So that's really the next step, is to kind of work through this with your traffic team.
Excellent. So can we expect to hear maybe within 30 days from somebody?
Certainly,
or-
I'll reach out to you in the next week or so.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.
Mayor, could I offer some
Yes,
thoughts?
go ahead.
So as she said, I live in that area as well, and I think some of the speed estimates that have been given tonight are really off. I think they're a whole lot higher than 45 to 55. We live right by the park. Unfortunately, we live across the street from the park. And I've got 5 kids, and I'll only let my oldest cross the street at a roundabout. And even then, I'm scared when he's on a bike because he doesn't have full control and he has to get off and then get back on. I think it's an absolute shame when you have a roundabout with big crosswalks that you can't safely get across. I just think it's insane. And as more and more people move in, it's getting worse and worse and worse. So first, just from being up here and living there, I want to validate everybody that came tonight, from the petition to Evans to McFee. I live it too, and I experience it, and it's not bad. It's uncontrollable currently. I think we can take some steps to address it, and I already talked with David, and I know Daryl's on board, but this is a great example of a grassroots effort starting this with a town that wants to do something. I know I want to do something. I can't speak for everybody else, but I'm assuming they do too. But to me, it comes down, it's not easy. We've got, in my mind, 6 parts out there that need to be addressed. We've got immediately from Old Stage Road when you turn on to McFee, that's one. I get passed weekly by somebody going in the turn lane. In the turn lane. After that, once we get around the roundabout in front of Bridgemore and the beautiful farmhouse, it's a let it rip. Then you start to get some breaks as you come to the top of the hill, but from the top of that hill to the next roundabout, it's fast and furious. Then you slow down once you hit the next roundabout, and then from there to Boyd Station, I swear they've got shot clocks. They've got timers in their car to see what they can do that quarter mile in. So that's 4 sections. The 5th section is Evans. And how you speed on Evans, you must have a death wish, because that is a small country road where you don't have visibility. And then 6 is Boyd Station. We don't hear much about Boyd Station right now because there's like 5 houses there. Well, there's about to be a lot of houses there, and so it needs to be included in the roads that we consider traffic measures for as well. And to Mr. McCarthy's message about turning left, I don't let anybody in my family turn left there, and that's not an exaggeration. You better send smoke up shooting out there, because somebody coming over at 45 and you're T-boned. And so I don't know from Daryl's standpoint if phase 3, if something could be done to lower that hump. I kind of doubt it. It's worth exploring, but having a light like Red Mill is a very, very, very good idea. So I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. I'm on board for looking at every single idea: roundabouts, blinking lights, signal lights, speed humps, everything. Let's start with what's feasible from engineering standpoint, and let's move to what can make a difference, not in 3 years, but much, much sooner.
Okay.
Scott?
I was going to say I've experienced also. I live in the North Ward, but my family goes to McFee Park quite a bit, and so I feel your pain. I would also say that the North Ward has also the same issues with Grigsby Chapel, which I brought to the board multiple times already. Everett Road's also the same situation. I do think that we need to look at something that's going to be systematic across the entire town and not just in the South Ward.
Okay. Speeding is something that's all over Knox County. It seems to be aggravated more in our town than most other areas because, as Ms. Dagenhart spoke of, social media is, you hear about it there more than you do anywhere else. But when you look at other parts of our town in social media, you don't see it. As far as I'm talking about Knox County, you don't see the complaints like you do here in Farragut. It seems to be isolated in our town. And if you're sitting on your patio, even where I live, I can hear the cars that Steve's talking about in the evening with the straight pipes going. They make a loop. They go down North Shore. They turn on to the and go by the park at Anchor, and they come on to most of the time they turn on right by Steve there and go and down Boyd Station. Then they go down McFee, and then they disappear. You don't hear them any longer. But if you're sitting out there like I do from usually about 7 till dark, then for probably that length of time, you hear this constant noise of these cars. And then when the two of them get together and do the drifting at the roundabout, if you go out there, you can see the black marks around the roundabout where they do this. It's become, I guess, a sport for them. But and this don't happen between 7 and 9. This happens between 12 and 1 in the morning. That's when this happens. So it's a problem we have. Like everybody said, it needs to be looked at to what we can do. Hopefully, whenever we do the next phase of Virtue, we can look at that left turn. It's really aggravated in the summertime whenever all the vegetation is there, because if you don't get Public Works to stop there and cut all that down, then you have a lot of overgrowth that you can't see around, and that makes it even worse. So there are things that we have problems with, but everybody needs to first remember these have all been substandard roads, and some of them are still substandard, like Evans and Boyd Station. So, and hopefully Boyd Station will have a roundabout on it at the entrance to the new subdivision, and that's about right close to halfway. So that should hopefully help, and we'd like to see a vertical roundabout there like what we have on Virtue, not like what we have on McFee. McFee, they just go up on two wheels as they go around it. But they don't do that on Virtue. They have to slow down there. So.
Would a giant mirror help in the interim right there at Virtue? Because that's a less expensive fix at the present.
And see, that's what I would like to assemble that team, because those are the kinds of things that, yeah, just getting those kinds of input from the residents that are in that area, that's a really good suggestion. And that's kind of what I think, like you stated, there's 4 different areas. You know that because you live there. So what are the ways that the traffic calming has come a long way in recent years. I learned the very long, hard way because I wanted to help Union Road be not Everett or McFee or Old Stage. I wanted to advocate for a different design. And in going and getting that education, learned a lot about what the Federal Highway Administration is now insisting that local governments deal with pedestrian safety. It's not just about car traffic anymore. It's about looking at all of the users of the road and making sure that all users of the road are safe. And so in recent years, a lot has changed with what you can do or options of changing the feel of a road. And it's been something that I've really spent a lot of time researching, and I'm happy to work with the residents in this area and listen to and brainstorm about ideas about how to improve the feel of that road for the people that want to speed, but that don't want to speed. That road is fast anyway. It seems like when you get on it, if you try to go 30, you feel like you're driving in mud. It doesn't. It makes you. It almost compels you to go faster than you really want to be going. If you guys just drive your natural way, you'll look down and see, wow, I'm going 40. You try to go 30 on Everett Road. I know this is an experience. You try to go 30 and you feel like, okay, this road is making me want to go faster. That's part of the design of that road. How do you go back and redesign to take some of that fast feel out of the road? That's something that we need to look at for McFee, for Old Stage, for Everett, for Grigsby Chapel. So for Boyd Station, for Evans. Well, Evans, I don't even understand that one. But these are the things that we need to be talking about and seeing what can we do. But there is an enforcement aspect to this. There are people that don't care. You see it. They don't care. And the only thing they care about is getting a ticket. And if we can get some more enforcement, and it doesn't have to be every day, it doesn't have to be 24/7, but if there's this idea that you're seeing more enforcement, that might be what it takes for some of this to slow down. But that's reaching out to Knox County Sheriff's Office and making that an interest for them, because it doesn't seem like, from my point of view, that they're interested in enforcing speed. And that is a frustration that I know that we've reached out to the Sheriff's Office in the past to see if we could contract with him to have our own officers. And at the time, he didn't have the personnel to dedicate to that. I know that they've come up with a new pay structure, so perhaps he's got more. I don't know, but there is an enforcement aspect to this that's undeniable, because we have people in the world that just are concerned about themselves and nobody else. So I'm happy to be part of this conversation and listen and try to implement solutions. Our roads, every one of our roads, should be viewed as part of an asset of our community. They should be beautiful. They should accommodate everyone who wants to use it safely. And we're not there right now. So.
Anybody else? If not, then the time is approximately 7:20. And without objection, July 13th, 2023, Farragut Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting is now adjourned.